Here we are at the very beginning of my walk. Welcome to the video, and I do hope you enjoy it. And that's a fancy looking drinking fountain. People drink from the bit on top, and pets can drink from the trough that's attached to the back of it. And somebody has placed a dog bowl there as well, but that won't stay there. It looks like it's a bit windy at the lake today. This was my first visit to the lake since we had a lot of rain and some flooding. The grass is growing very long too. They haven't been cutting it as often as they need to at this time of year. The egrets and the ibises and the cormorants are all still nesting. There's lots of baby birds there now, all sorts of birds. There's a dusky moorhen with her chicks. They nest on the ground beside the water or even on little islands in the middle of the lake. And those little islands are so small they can be bird-made islands. They're only big enough for the nest to fit on top of. Oh, and there is an Australian water dragon. There's some of the egrets. Oh, that's a little black cormorant. It'll dive down. I waited for a while, but it didn't come up soon enough, so I stopped filming. The dusky moorhen. There are some dusky moorhen chicks here too. Oh, there's one of them. There's two there. There's one just walking slowly near the concrete wall. You can hardly see it. It's black against the black background. The dusky moorhens stay with their parents for a couple of years, and it's a family affair raising the chicks for each new generation. All of those nesting birds, there are various types of egrets as well as the ibis and some cormorants. The dusky moorhen and her chick are in the middle of the picture, to slightly closer to the top, just in case you can't see them amongst all those water lilies and water weeds there. Some cattle egrets up a tree. The white ones are the chicks. And here are the swamp hens. I wonder how they're coping with all this long grass. It's probably better for their chicks. They can hide from the birds of prey that fly overhead. Some white sulphur-crested cockatoos grazing on the ground. The cockatoos do that a lot. All varieties that I've seen around here anyway. While they're on the ground feeding like that, there's always a few high up in the trees looking out for danger and warning them if danger approaches. This is just a small part of the lake. To the one side of it is at the very end of this part of the lake. That is a swamp hen just resting on a rock. This is only a tiny section of the lake, but it's usually worthwhile having a look because there are often a few birds in it. The cockatoos like to get into the trees around this end as well. And that is a dusky moorhen. And the swamp hen's decided to move off its rock. That's the dusky moorhen. Now I've moved on a bit, and here's another swamp hen. That's a cormorant. Other side of the trees that the egrets are nesting in. And here's a swamp hen with a chick. I just imagine the chick's eye view getting through all of that long grass. But at least it'll probably feel a little bit safer, providing there aren't any snakes about. And I think there are snakes. And there's a second chick in danger of being left behind. I guess they'll disappear into the long reeds that are just beside the lake, just near the water. That second chick is a bit bigger than the first one. Might be from a different lot, hatched a bit earlier. It's not unusual to see groups of chicks of all different stages of development all running around together with a few parent birds. It seems to be a group activity, raising chicks. And here's an Australian water dragon and a crested pigeon. These are very hard to get photos of, but this one was cooperating. Their alarm call is a whistle that their feathers make as they fly off, and that is a spider lily. We will see them again later on when I'm at the other side of the lake. There'll be a photo of the spider lilies, this clump of them that I took from across the other side of the lake. They are a common garden plant. I've had them growing in my garden. They usually just sit there and last for years. There's still plenty of wind around the lake today. I've seen birds building nests on that little clump in the middle of the lake there. Seems to be quite a popular spot. looking ahead to where I'll go to finish the walk, but I'm not halfway around yet. I've still got to go past that little landing there, but I'll sit in the seats under these trees for a while first. Another swamp hen, not sure if it's got chicks with it or not. Oh yes, that could be an older chick. And there's water snowflake. I'm always trying to get a good photo of the flowers. They're so tiny, and I don't like bending over too far to get a good close-up shot because I'm scared of falling in the lake. There are sculptures of various sizes all around the lake, and there is that little landing that I showed you earlier when I was underneath the tree, and some pigeons. A dusky moorhen with a few chicks following it. That's not necessarily the mother. It could be any one of the mother or the chicks from a previous year. You can hear the adult bird calling the chicks. The chicks stay with the parents for at least 2 years and assist raising the next lot of baby moorhens. There are often more than one adult bird with each lot of chicks, and the extra adults are not always obviously with the chicks, but if any danger is perceived or any threat is perceived towards the chicks, the other bird or other birds will come running. They're very brave and they'll take on humans or anything. A bit further along I spotted a noisy myna on the ground. I was wondering what it was doing on the ground. I've never seen one like that before. They're usually up in the trees. A group of them could be a threat to the chicks. They're quite aggressive and very territorial, but this one seems to be on the ground for some reason. And there's a peewee. To go back down the other side of the lake, I need to cross this bridge. Had to go out onto the street to do it. That's a Lasiandra. It is a native, I believe, an Australian native flower. Now these dusky moorhen chicks seem to be without a parent bird. They're just different ages, but they're all chicks. The big one seems to be in charge, but it hasn't yet quite got its adult colouring. Its legs are still orange and black instead of being orange. You see how it's changing colour, the legs? The chicks have got black legs. So this one seems to have taken over the care of those little chicks, even though it's only still a chick itself. I was wondering what might have happened to the parent birds. It's been flooding and there's a lot less adult birds around, so I'm wondering if it flew away or drowned in the flood. Don't know. I hope the little chicks are okay though. There's a pair of ducks who came to live at the lake ages ago and they're still surviving. And there's that black and white duck that just arrived recently. They seem to get on well together. And a grevillea flower. And a whole lot of pigeons just at the same spot. And some water lilies. They were quite pretty this day. Another drinking fountain, this with a tap, a fountain and a dog bowl attached. Dusky moorhen chick hiding in the grass and some more dusky moorhen chicks. Dragon fountains being very quiet, it's not spouting water everywhere at the moment. That's the trees that I was sitting under earlier. That's the path I've just walked along, and just around the corner is the little landing that we had a look at. I'm sure these weeds are a very important food source for some of the creatures that live around the lake. And the wind is still blowing. Here's some swamp hens. There are usually some swamp hens around this area of the lake. They like to be on the ground, whereas the dusky moorhens generally prefer to be in the water. Dusky moorhens. I prefer to think of these little flowers as wildflowers. They're so tiny. There are the spider lilies we saw earlier growing across the other side of the lake. And there's a coot, a Eurasian coot. There's not many of them around today. It seems to be in a hurry. It's swimming very fast. Maybe the wind is pushing it along. And there's the tree on the islands where the egrets are nesting, down the end there, and some little welcome swallows. They're very small birds. I was standing behind those trees in the centre of the picture when I first started my walk. Just the other side of the lake, and some more water snowflakes. And guinea grass, something we don't usually see around the lake, but the little seed-eating birds love it. I used to feed it to my budgies when I was a child. Now I've climbed the hill at the back of the lake. That's the Ixora, orange flowers. That's a common garden plant as well. It's looking back down at the lake now. And a water dragon. Last one for the day. I don't usually show you this view underneath those blue sails because it's usually full of people exercising and doing other community activities, but it's empty today. So that's the end of the video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Please give it a like if you have enjoyed it. If you've subscribed, well, thank you very much for that. And if you haven't subscribed yet, it would be a great idea to do that so you don't miss out. But that's it for now. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye for now, and thank you for watching.